My best friend's son unexpectedly caught sight of me in the shower, and without a moment's hesitation, he barged in, shattering the fragile barrier of privacy. Welcome to the Infidelity Diaries, where secrets unravel and hearts shatter. Delve into the dark and tumultuous tales of betrayal and deceit that lie beneath the surface of infidelity. My name is Elena, and this is where my story begins. I had always seen myself as a fiercely devoted wife and a fiercely protective mother. But one fateful morning, as I meticulously adorned the garden for a celebration, the world around me shifted irrevocably. Who could have imagined that a mere act of kindness would ignite a tempest of long-buried emotions within me? How far can our decisions take us? And how profoundly can they transform our lives? This tale unfolds with a single, fateful touch that spiraled my existence into chaos. Continue reading if you dare to uncover the shocking conclusion of this unforeseen turn of events. I found myself precariously perched on a trembling ladder, desperately trying to wrap the lights around our patio as the ground seemed to sway beneath me. The sun blazed fiercely overhead, casting an intense light across the backyard, igniting a sense of urgency and tension in the air. The anticipation of my daughter Emily's birthday filled me with a bittersweet thrill, a mix of joy and burden, as the weight of the preparations rested heavily on my shoulders. My husband, Mark, was perpetually consumed by his world, leaving me to navigate the storm alone. The ladder beneath me quaked ominously, a subtle warning of the danger that loomed. Yet, I pressed on, steeling myself against the unsettling tremors that had become all too familiar in this perilous endeavor. In that instant, a voice pierced the silence, jolting me with a shock that sent my heart racing. "Mrs. Watson, do you require assistance?" The voice resonated with a haunting depth that sent shivers down my spine. And as I turned, the world around me spun dangerously, threatening to topple me over. Before me stood Daniel, the son of my best friend Sarah, a figure shrouded in tension and unspoken words. "Oh, Daniel, thank you. I would truly appreciate that," I replied, my voice trembling as I descended the ladder, fighting to keep my composure amidst the rising tension. He lunged forward to steady it, and in that fleeting moment, our hands collided with an electric intensity. That simple touch ignited a tempest of emotions within me, overwhelming and consuming, leaving me breathless in its wake. "I just arrived and immediately sensed your struggle," Daniel declared, his eyes gleaming with a hint of mischief that promised chaos. With a surge of gratitude, I responded, guiding him through the garden, where the rest of the decorations loomed, shrouded in anticipation. As we toiled side by side, an undeniable tension crackled in the air, drawing my attention to his every move. His confident, fluid movements were utterly captivating, and each time our hands inadvertently touched, my heart raced with an intensity that took my breath away. "How is college unfolding for you?" I asked, attempting to initiate a casual conversation, yet my voice revealed an underlying intensity that I couldn't conceal. "Wonderful, Mrs. Watson." The familiar whirlwind of studies and social life. "Yet there's an undeniable thrill in returning home." He replied that everything feels eerily tranquil compared to the chaos of the campus, his hands trembling slightly as he smoothed out the tablecloth with tense precision. I laughed, but the sound that escaped my lips was tinged with an unsettling edge of anxiety. "I can hardly contain my thoughts. The absence has been palpable. Emily frequently mentions you, and each mention serves as a reminder of what we've lost." With a flicker of a smile, he replied, "Hopefully only good things." But the words barely masked the thickening tension that loomed ominously between us. "Only the best," I vowed, our eyes locking in a moment that stretched into eternity, charged with unspoken tension. In that electrifying moment, I was struck by the power of a mere touch and a fleeting smile, awakening emotions buried deep within me, feelings I thought were lost forever. As the evening descended, ominous shadows loomed over the lawn, and guests began to trickle in, their presence thickening the air with anticipation. The party erupted with a cacophony of heated conversations and raucous laughter, each moment charged with an electric energy that crackled in the air. Yet, the concealed spark that had flared to life between us during the preparations burned fiercely, binding us with unseen threads amidst the thrumming chaos of the crowd. As the party erupted into life, my gaze locked onto Daniel, a figure shrouded in tension among the throng of guests. He captivated everyone around him with an undeniable charisma and a laughter that echoed like thunder, drawing all eyes to him in an instant. Fate intervened once more as our eyes locked across the drinks table, the air thick with unspoken tension. Daniel, the undeniable focal point of the room, unleashed a gripping tale, his audience captivated. their breaths held in suspense with every word he uttered. As his eyes locked onto mine, he halted, a glint of mischief dancing in his gaze as he extended a glass toward me, a conspiratorial smile playing on his lips. "Mrs. Watson," he said, his voice heavy with unspoken tension, "I've saved the last glass of Emily's favorite drink just for you." "Thank you, Daniel. I think I truly need this," I replied, our fingers brushing once more, and that electrifying spark surged through me, stirring feelings she hadn't acknowledged in years. I took a desperate sip to mask my burning embarrassment, acutely aware of the piercing, intrigued gazes from the partygoers surrounding me. We cautiously ventured deeper into the shadowy recesses of the garden, where flickering lights cast eerie glows and the air thickened with tension, creating a charged atmosphere ripe for a conversation that felt both urgent and electric. Our laughter erupted like thunder, sharp and electrifying, casting a shadow over the rest of the party as we became ensnared in our world of light-hearted banter. "Elena," he began, his voice low and charged, addressing me by my first name for the first time. The air thickened with an almost palpable intimacy. "What is existence truly like in the suburbs? Surely, it can't be just endless celebrations and the chaos of home renovations." I laughed, a sudden wave of unexpected ease washing over me, yet beneath the surface, a storm brewed, threatening to unravel the calm. "Oh, it's absolutely chaotic. Occasionally, the choice of paint colors ignites a thrill that surges through me, a decision that feels like the most exhilarating moment of the day," I replied, my smile barely containing the intensity of my emotions. He laughed, a sound that echoed with an unsettling intensity, his eyes locking onto mine with a piercing gaze that lingered far longer than was comfortable. "It resonates with an electrifying excitement. Perhaps you crave a surge of adrenaline in your existence," he proposed, his voice a husky whisper that beckoned with tantalizing allure. Before I could respond, Emily's voice sliced through the thick tension, playful yet laced with an unsettling curiosity. "It appears you've captivated the most significant woman in the room, Daniel," she declared, her voice ringing out and igniting a wave of laughter from the crowd surrounding us. With a rush of heat flooding my cheeks, I barely mustered a response, my voice trembling with the weight of unspoken emotions. "Emily, you know I've always harbored a deep affection for your family." My voice trembled with a fragile lightness, yet my heart thundered with a fierce blend of exhilaration and dread. Daniel shot me a fleeting, enigmatic glance, his expression shifting as he turned to smile at Emily, a tension crackling in the air. "I'm simply in the right company. Mom!" The entire evening unfolded in a whirlwind of intense glances and hushed, urgent conversations with Daniel. Every interaction ignited a surge of exhilaration within me, a tempest of emotions I fought desperately to contain. His question about needing more excitement in my life resonated in my mind, challenging the boundaries of my comfort zone. As the party reached its climax and guests started to trickle out, a tumultuous wave of relief crashed over me, mingling with a deep, gnawing disappointment that clawed at my insides. The night had unveiled secrets far beyond my wildest expectations. Saying goodbye to Daniel, our hands clung together for a fleeting moment. His presence unsettled me in ways I couldn't quite understand that hung heavily in the air. "Good night, Elena," he breathed, his voice thick with unspoken emotions. His voice, a haunting whisper, pierced the silence, meant solely for my ears. "Good night, Daniel," I whispered, my heart pounding with a tumultuous blend of guilt and anticipation that threatened to consume me. After that party, I struggled to reclaim my normal life, but the relentless thoughts of Daniel tormented me, refusing to fade into the shadows. Each time I walked past the garden or caught sight of the lights we had hung together, the echoes of our fleeting touches and whispered conversations would surge back into my mind, igniting a tempest of emotions within me. It was sheer madness, a chaotic whirlwind of emotions and turmoil. How could I possibly let myself become struggling with unexpected feelings towards someone she once saw as family? Mark was, as always, consumed by his relentless pursuit of work, leaving our conversations reduced to mere exchanges about business and the urgent responsibilities of caring for Emily. This was our routine, but now it felt like a relentless vice, tightening around us with every passing moment. On one fateful day, I made the bold decision to escape the confines of my home, seeking refuge in my favorite cafe, desperate for a moment of solace amidst the chaos that consumed me. As I stepped inside, the doorbell chimed ominously, intertwining with the intoxicating scents of freshly brewed coffee and warm pastries, creating an atmosphere thick with anticipation. The cafe had always been my sanctuary, a refuge where I could momentarily flee the relentless chaos of everyday life. After ordering my usual cappuccino, I scanned the room for a seat, and to my shock, I found Daniel lurking in the shadows of the corner, his laptop casting an eerie glow on his face. "Elena, what a surprising turn of events." He gasped in shock upon laying eyes on me. He beckoned with urgency, a magnetic pull that urged me to step into his world. My heart raced wildly, pounding against my chest, and a fiery blush surged up my cheeks, igniting a storm of emotions within me. As I neared his table, a storm of anxiety surged within me, threatening to unravel my composure. "Greetings, Daniel. It sharpens my focus," he declared, slamming his laptop shut and locking his gaze onto mine with unwavering intensity. "Will you dare to share a coffee with me?" Daniel shattered the silence, leaning in with an intensity that crackled in the air, lowering his voice to a near whisper as if he were about to unveil a dark secret. "Elena, you are nothing like the image I had of Mark's wife." His words struck me like a bolt of lightning, sending my heart racing and leaving me breathless. "What did you think would happen?" I inquired, my voice trembling with a blend of urgency and unease. "I don't know," he replied, his gaze piercing through me, filled with an unsettling intensity, perhaps shrouded in mystery. "However, you demonstrated a flurry of enthusiasm and fascination." A nervous chuckle escaped my lips, a mix of flattery and anxiety swirling within me. "I will accept that as a compliment." "Daniel, thank you so much." Our conversation surged with an electric intensity, each topic igniting a fierce exchange of thoughts and emotions. Beloved tomes, cinematic masterpieces, and the deepest aspirations of the soul. We delved into matters I hadn't dared to share with Mark in ages. Daniel hung on every word, his responses charged with intensity, igniting a profound sense of understanding and connection that coursed between us like electricity. As the moment to depart approached, Daniel stepped in closer, his voice a hushed whisper, laden with unspoken tension. This moment was truly unforgettable. "Elena, could we dare to embark on that journey once more?" My heart raced wildly, and disbelief washed over me as I grappled with the overwhelming pull of this inexplicable attraction. "Absolutely, I would desire that as well," I responded, taken aback by the rawness of my own truth. We parted ways at the cafe door, and as I made my way to my car, an overwhelming longing to see him again surged within me, gripping my heart with an intensity I couldn't ignore. This unforeseen encounter thrust us into perilous depths, and though the urge to flee was strong, I found myself ensnared by an overwhelming sense of dread, making escape feel ever more elusive. The allure of the unknown surged within me, igniting a fierce, electrifying pulse of life I hadn't experienced in years. Days passed since that fateful encounter at the cafe, and my emotions raged between exhilarating thrill and crushing guilt. The haunting echoes of Daniel's words tormented my mind, refusing to grant me a moment's peace. Each time I walked past the cafe, those haunting thoughts would surge back, sending chills down my spine and igniting a fierce battle within my conscience. I kept whispering to myself, "This is madness," but beneath the surface, I understood it to be far more than mere desire. The sensation clawed at me, relentless and undeniable, a force that demanded my attention, regardless of the chaos it would unleash. On a stormy day, as I battled with a stubbornly frozen computer, a spark of desperation ignited within me. I recalled Daniel's uncanny ability to unravel even the most perplexing technical dilemmas. In a moment of reckless impulse, I pressed the digits of his number, my heart racing with uncertainty. The phone rang, shattering the silence, and Daniel answered with a sense of urgency, his voice laced with an intensity that demanded attention. "Hey, Elena, what's going on? Tell me everything." "Daniel, I apologize for intruding," I started, struggling to maintain my composure. "My computer is in turmoil, and chaos reigns in the digital realm. You claimed you had a knack for these matters. Can you assist me?" Without a moment's pause, he responded with unwavering resolve. "Of course, I'll be right over." As he stepped into the room, an electric tension crackled in the air, thick enough to cut with a knife. Daniel sank into the chair at the computer, his fingers poised above the keys, while I stood just out of reach, captivated by the intensity of his every deliberate movement. Our shoulders collided, igniting a surge of electricity that coursed through my veins, awakening a tempest of emotions long buried. With his eyes fixed on the screen, he whispered as if the world's fate rested on it. With only a few settings left to adjust, he felt the tension in the air intensifying. Our faces were perilously close, and as I gazed into his eyes, a storm of emotions surged within me, making it painfully clear that resisting this magnetic pull would be nearly impossible. Our eyes met, and an unspoken understanding passed between us, hinting at emotions long buried that surged between us, consuming everything in their paths. As we tore ourselves apart, the air felt thick and suffocating, leaving me gasping for breath. "We can't continue this, Daniel," I gasped, my voice quaking with the weight of the truth, understanding that these words were as much a confession to my heart as they were to him. "I know, Elena," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, as he averted his eyes, the weight of his guilt hanging heavily in the air. We completed the repairs on the computer in a heavy silence. And then, without a word, Daniel vanished, leaving me engulfed in a storm of tumultuous emotions. As the door slammed shut behind him, I pressed my back against it, my heart racing as I struggled to gather my scattered thoughts. Every glance and unspoken word stirred something deep within me that I knew would never go out. This was just the beginning of a tumultuous journey. Weeks had dragged on since the party, a haunting reminder of our last fateful encounter with Daniel. I fought to maintain my distance from him, yet the haunting thoughts of him relentlessly surged back, consuming my mind. Mark was consumed by his work, leaving me to drown in a sea of solitude. One fateful morning, as I stood in the kitchen, the air thick with the scent of breakfast, my phone erupted into a piercing ring. It was Daniel, the name that sent a shiver down her spine, igniting a storm of emotions within her. Elena, I need to talk to you." His voice resonated with a captivating warmth, wrapping around the listener like a comforting embrace. Yet beneath that pleasant facade lay an undercurrent of tension, hinting at secrets untold. I was contemplating the possibility of meeting up and having a conversation. We must confront the events that unfolded. My emotions churned within me, a tempest of uncertainty. Yet I found myself nodding in agreement. "Let's meet at the Lavender Garden Cafe." "Daniel," I urged, my heart pounding with the hope that the familiar atmosphere would ground me amidst the tumultuous emotions swirling inside. I chose a bold outfit, one that made me feel seen and strong for once, that clung to my curves, paired with a form-fitting blouse that left little to the imagination, igniting a sense of urgency and anticipation in the air. In the mirror, I beheld a woman radiating confidence, yet within me, a tempest raged, threatening to unleash chaos at any moment. In the dimly lit cafe, my eyes locked onto Daniel, brooding alone at a shadowy corner table. He rose to his feet as I drew near, his gaze fixated on my attire with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. "Elena, you look absolutely breathtaking," he declared, his eyes locking onto mine as I took my seat across from him. A rush of heat surged through my cheeks, igniting a fierce blaze of embarrassment within me. "Thank you, Daniel. Could you please share what you urgently need to discuss?" I inquired, my voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of tension, attempting to ignite the conversation with a semblance of professionalism. He replied, his gaze piercing through me, unyielding and intense. "The thoughts of you consume me, a relentless storm within my mind. Despite the forbidden nature of this desire, I feel compelled to express the depths of my feelings for you." His confession crashed over me like a tidal wave, and I could feel my heart pounding wildly in my chest. We confronted our deepest emotions, grappling with the weight of what lay ahead and the urgent decisions that loomed over us. I fought to keep my distance, yet every fleeting glance and whispered word pulled me deeper into his orbit. As our conversation reached its climax, Daniel proposed a walk, the air thick with unspoken tension. We stormed out of the cafe, our footsteps echoing in the narrow alley, where the trees loomed overhead, their blossoms trembling in the charged air. The air was thick with the intoxicating scent of lavender, enveloping us in a moment that felt charged with unspoken tension. In a moment charged with tension, he halted abruptly and grasped my hand tightly. "One, Elena, I know this is wrong, but I can't fight this feeling," he said, his voice quaking with raw emotion. I gazed into his face, where his eyes burned with an intensity of sincerity and an insatiable desire. In a whirlwind of emotions, I seized the moment, drawing him in with an urgency that left no room for hesitation, and pressed my lips against his. The kiss ignited with an overwhelming intensity, a desperate clash of longing and urgency. His hands gripped my waist with an urgency that sent shivers down my spine, drawing me nearer as his fingers tantalizingly grazed the hem of my skirt. Our lips collided in a fervent, passionate embrace that felt as if it could last an eternity. His breath caressed my skin, a searing warmth igniting every cell within me. The kiss ignited with an overwhelming intensity, consuming me entirely as I surrendered to the fervor, oblivious to the world around us. As we finally broke apart, our faces hovered perilously close, our breaths intertwining in a charged silence that crackled with unspoken tension. His eyes bore into me with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine, causing my knees to quiver uncontrollably. "Elena," he breathed, his voice trembling with a mix of fervor and anguish. I can no longer conceal this truth. I ached to be with you. My thoughts were a chaotic storm, but amidst the turmoil, one truth pierced through the darkness. My heart ached with a desperate longing to be with him as well. This moment was electrifying. The kiss was passionate, and the confession was heart-stopping. Every moment surged with undeniable truth, and I could no longer escape the tempest of my emotions. "I do too, Daniel," I whispered back, my heart racing with a tumultuous mix of exhilaration and dread. We stood there, locked in a fierce embrace, the weight of the world pressing down on us, fully aware that harrowing choices loomed on the horizon. But in that electrifying moment, nothing else existed, only the raw intensity of our emotions and the desperate longing that bound us together. The following days unfolded in a chaotic whirlwind, each moment more overwhelming than the last. The memory of Daniel and our kiss consumed my every thought, a relentless storm of emotions that I couldn't escape. We fought desperately to keep our distance, yet the magnetic pull between us was an undeniable force, consuming every thought and moment. Every encounter, whether by chance or design, every whispered word and lingering gaze only fueled the fire of our longing. On a fateful day, a message from Daniel pierced through the silence, igniting a storm of emotions within me. "Elena, we must rendezvous at the park, near the crumbling old fountain, where shadows linger and secrets whisper. I must speak with you immediately." My heart pounded violently in my chest, a relentless drumbeat urging me forward. And I realized there was no way I could turn back. I selected a striking light ivory dress that clung to my figure, accentuating every curve with an almost electric allure. This dress enveloped me in a surge of confidence, igniting a fierce sense of freedom within my very soul. As I drew closer to the fountain, my heart raced. Daniel stood there, a shadow of tension enveloping him, waiting for me. He appeared on edge, his anxiety palpable in the air around him. Our eyes locked, and an electric surge coursed through me, reigniting the fierce flame that had once burned so brightly between us. "Elena," he began, his voice quaking with raw emotion, "the weight of this secret is suffocating, and I can no longer bear the burden of silence. You consume my thoughts relentlessly. Every day, every single minute, an unyielding presence that haunts me." I edged forward, and our hands collided with an electric intensity. His touch ignited a fierce electric current that surged through my body, setting every nerve ablaze. "Daniel, I can't stop thinking about you either," I replied, my voice trembling as tears threatened to spill from my eyes. "However, we must exercise extreme caution. The impact could shatter everything." He yanked me closer, our lips crashing together in a fiery, fervent kiss that ignited a storm of emotions within us. He held my waist gently, a comforting presence that steadied me, pulling me closer as his fingers brushed against my skin, igniting a fire through the delicate fabric of my dress. The kiss ignited a wildfire of desperation and desire, sending shockwaves through every fiber of my being as I surrendered to his touch. "Elena, I want to be with you no matter what," he whispered, his breath hot against my skin as he pulled away from my lips, his gaze piercing into my very soul. The weight of our feelings pressed down on me, undeniable and consuming, a force too powerful to dismiss. This kiss was an explosive eruption of fervor, a moment charged with an electric intensity that threatened to consume them both. It was a profound realization that our very existence hinged on one another's presence. "I do too, Daniel, but we must tread carefully," I replied, my voice trembling with urgency as I fought to uphold a shred of reason amidst the chaos. We wandered through the park for what felt like an eternity, the air thick with unspoken tension as we reveled in the intensity of each other's presence. We confronted our deepest feelings, our darkest fears, and the overwhelming challenge of navigating this tumultuous situation. Every word he uttered, every fleeting glance, ignited an insatiable fire within me, deepening my yearning to be by his side. "Elena, I can't bear the thought of losing you," he implored, his voice trembling as we paused at a bench beneath the looming shadows of the ancient oak tree. "We must rendezvous in the shadows, shrouded in secrecy, until we unravel the tangled web of our next move." The danger loomed large, yet the agony of never laying eyes on him again was a torment I could not endure. "All right, Daniel, we'll be careful," I replied, my heart a battleground of joy and dread, each emotion clashing violently within me. Our lips collided once more in a fervent, electrifying kiss, igniting a fire between us that threatened to consume everything in its path. His hands glided over my shoulders, a searing touch that ignited every nerve in my body. His touches ignited a fire within me, charged with an overwhelming mix of love and raw desire, leaving me utterly powerless to resist the intoxicating sensation. My hands tightened around his neck, drawing him nearer, and I could feel the thunderous rhythm of his heart matching the frantic pulse of my own. These clandestine gatherings transformed into our refuge, a hidden world where tension crackled in the air. We met in the park, hidden away in shadowy corners where the world could not witness our secret encounters. Every one of our dates crackled with an electric intensity and a fierce tenderness that left us breathless. We clung to every fleeting moment, acutely aware that it could all shatter in an instant. One fateful evening, as we lingered on a bench beneath the vast, shimmering expanse of stars, Daniel seized my hand with a fierce intensity, his gaze piercing into my very soul. "Elena, I need you to hear this. My love for you burns fiercely, consuming every thought and moment. It's a truth that echoes in the depths of my soul." His voice was a whisper, yet every word pierced through the depths of my heart with an agonizing intensity. My eyes brimmed with tears, and I clutched his hand tightly, desperation coursing through me. That evening, we clung to one another, our bodies entwined. As the world outside faded into oblivion, the heat between us crackled with an urgency that ignited our souls, each heartbeat echoing the intensity of our connection. Our kisses ignited with an intensity that left us breathless, each one a fervent proclamation of love and unwavering devotion. We were acutely aware of the storm brewing on the horizon, yet in that fleeting moment, nothing else held significance but the fierce intensity of our love and the burning urgency to unite against all odds. These clandestine gatherings ignited a flicker of hope amidst our bleakest hours. In each other, we unearthed the fragments of our souls that had been buried beneath the weight of time and despair. Our love was a dangerous secret, a flame that burned brighter in the shadows, igniting an insatiable hunger to unite against all odds. Weeks dragged on since our last encounter, and each day without Daniel stretched into an agonizing eternity. We clung to our messages and calls, yet the yearning to see him, to feel his presence, intensified with each passing day, consuming me with an insatiable hunger. Mark was busy with work, and Emily was with a friend on one of those heavy days. Suddenly, a message from Daniel pierced through the silence, sending a jolt of anticipation through me. "Elena, I need to see you. Can I come over?" It's time sensitive. Despite the high stakes and the looming danger, I couldn't turn away. I responded with a terse, urgent affirmation. "Yes, come." My hands shook violently, and my heart raced wildly in a tempest of anticipation. I selected a daring short khaki skirt that clung to my curves, paired with a provocative form-fitting blouse that accentuated every contour. With a deliberate choice, I opted against wearing any underwear, igniting a surge of intensity that electrified the air around me. As the knock echoed through the silence, my heart raced, pounding violently against my chest. I flung the door open, and there stood Daniel, his eyes ablaze with an insatiable hunger. Our eyes locked for a fleeting moment, a silent tension crackling between us, before he crossed the threshold, the door slamming shut with a finality that echoed in the stillness. "Elena, you look absolutely breathtaking," he murmured, his voice dripping with intensity and desire. "Thank you, Daniel. I've missed you more than words can express," I replied, my cheeks burning with an intensity that mirrored the longing in my heart. We stood there, locked in a gaze that crackled with unspoken words, the tension between us thickening, suffocating, until it felt as if the very air around us was about to ignite. Daniel edged nearer, his breath quickening as he leaned in, the tension crackling in the air, ready to ignite with a kiss. Our lips collided in a fervent kiss, igniting a fire within me as his hands gripped my waist, drawing me in with an urgency that left me breathless. Elena, I can't bear this suspense any longer, he breathed, as our lips reluctantly separated for a fleeting moment. Neither can I. Daniel, I replied, my knees quaking with an overwhelming surge of desire. His hands gripped my waist with a fierce urgency, slowly peeling away my skirt as tension crackled in the air. His fingers grazed my skin, igniting a storm of shivers that coursed through every inch of my body. As the skirt cascaded to the floor, his eyes ignited with an insatiable hunger, a raw intensity that electrified the air between us. You're so breathtaking. Elena, he breathed, his voice quaking with fervor. Daniel's lips crashed against mine once more, his hands gripping my waist with an urgency that sent shivers down my spine as he looked at me with understanding, respecting the space between us. Our bodies were perilously close, and I felt every electrifying touch, every overwhelming emotion surging through us. He whispered words of comfort, easing my worries, leaving a trail of scorching kisses that ignited a shiver of raw pleasure through my entire body. Elena, I want to be with you, he whispered, his voice trembling with raw sincerity and burning passion. I do too. Daniel, I replied, my voice trembling with an undeniable intensity, each word laced with raw truth and unwavering strength. We were pushed to the brink, unable to restrain ourselves any further. We embraced, finding solace in each other's presence, and I felt his hands gripping my skin with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. He moved with a deliberate intensity, every gesture charged with an overwhelming surge of love and fervor. I was acutely aware of every movement, every breath, and it engulfed me in an overwhelming wave of bliss and euphoria. Our movements surged with an electrifying fervor, and I felt the all-consuming passion engulf us completely. His lips crashed against mine, each kiss a fervent declaration of a love that burned with an undeniable intensity. We were consumed by the moment, surrendering to the overwhelming tide of our feelings and desires, oblivious to the world around us. As we came to a halt, we shared a moment of deep connection, understanding the depth of our bond. Exhausted yet electrified, overwhelmed by an intoxicating surge of joy, I gazed into his eyes, and what I found there was a tempest of love and unwavering devotion, a fierce intensity that threatened to consume us both. Elena, I love you, Daniel whispered, his voice barely above a breath, yet each word struck my heart like a thunderclap. We lay there, hearts racing, acutely aware that our love surged like a tempest, ready to confront any obstacle that dared to stand in our way. We were ready to fight fiercely for our love, regardless of the circumstances. Days had dragged on since that fateful evening with Daniel, each moment heavy with unspoken tension. Initially, I was engulfed in the intoxicating euphoria of our emotions. But as time passed, an insidious guilt began to fester within me, threatening to unravel everything. My mind was consumed by thoughts of Mark, the weight of my betrayal pressing down on me like a suffocating shroud. Mark meant everything to me, and my family had always been my utmost priority, the very core of my existence. In that harrowing moment, the weight of my colossal error crashed down upon me, and I knew I had to rectify it before it was too late. One fateful evening, as darkness enveloped the world and Emily lay asleep, Mark stumbled home, weary from the weight of the day. It was then that I felt an undeniable urgency. A moment had arrived for a raw and unfiltered confrontation. I meticulously arranged a light dinner, my heart pounding as I summoned every ounce of courage to invite him to take a seat. Mark, we need to talk, I began, my hands shaking with the surge of anxiety. His eyes widened in disbelief as he took a seat at the table, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. What is happening? Elena, he demanded, his voice laced with urgency and deep-seated worry. I inhaled sharply, my heart racing as I prepared to unleash the words that trembled on the edge of my lips. Mark, there has been a dark cloud hanging over us for far too long. We've drifted into shadows, and it feels as though I've lost you forever. I committed an unforgivable error. I betrayed you with Daniel. His eyes flared with disbelief, and I could feel the raw agony reflected in his stare. He stood there, a heavy silence enveloping him as he grappled with the weight of my words. I understand how difficult the truth is to accept, and I have no intention of offering justifications. But I need you to grasp that it was a fleeting moment of vulnerability. My heart aches with an unwavering love for you, and I am desperate to salvage our family from the brink of destruction. I persevered, tears streaming down my face like an unrelenting tempest. Why? Elena, what drove you to this point? What drove you to this point? He demanded, his voice quaking with urgency. We drifted apart. the chasm between us widening with each passing moment. A crushing wave of loneliness engulfed me, leaving me feeling utterly unneeded and abandoned in a world that seemed to forget my existence. You were consumed by your work, leaving us with no moments to share, no time to connect. I made a grave error, and the weight of my remorse is crushing, I replied, the weight of pain and guilt crashing down on my heart like a relentless storm. Mark's gaze pierced through me, heavy with an overwhelming sorrow that seemed to echo in the silence between us. I bear the weight of this too, Elena. I failed to give you the attention you so desperately needed. I believed that pouring every ounce of effort into my work was the ultimate sacrifice for our family. Yet in that relentless pursuit, I tragically overlooked the one thing that truly mattered. You stand at the precipice, heart racing, as the weight of the world bears down upon you. Every breath feels like a battle, every moment a test of your resolve. The shadows loom larger, whispering secrets of despair and danger, while the flickering light of hope dances just out of reach. The air crackles with tension, and you know that the choices you make now will echo through eternity. Will you rise to the challenge, or will the darkness consume you whole? He uttered, his voice heavy with remorse, each word dripping with the weight of his past choices. We sat in a heavy silence, the weight of our unspoken words hanging in the air like a storm ready to break. Then, Mark stepped closer, his grip tightening around my hands as he locked eyes with me, urgency lacing his voice. We need to confront our issues and fight to mend what's broken, he declared, the weight of his words hanging heavily in the air. I can't bear the thought of losing you and our family. Elena, you are everything to me. I nodded, a wave of relief crashing over me like a stormy sea. I can't bear the thought of losing you. Mark, we must fight to salvage our relationship and reignite the connection that once burned so brightly between us. I responded, gripping his hands tightly, in a moment of desperation. We resolved to turn to a family counselor, hoping to confront our deep-seated issues and unearth the solutions that seemed just out of reach. We began to immerse ourselves in each other's worlds, laying bare our deepest feelings and unspoken desires, igniting a fire that could not be contained. Slowly, with each painstaking step, we fought to reconstruct the fragile threads of our bond. One fateful evening, after a tumultuous family session, Mark's gaze pierced through the tension, filled with an intensity that left me breathless. Elena, he said, his voice steady yet heavy with emotion, I understand why it happened, and I forgive you. His words hung heavy in the air, a fragile truce amidst chaos. We both stumbled into darkness. But I refuse to believe this is the end of our story. We can rise from the ashes of our mistakes. My heart aches with a fierce longing for you, and I yearn for our family to find true happiness amidst the chaos of life. My cheeks were drenched with tears. But this time, they were tears of overwhelming joy and a flicker of hope that ignited my very soul. My heart echoes your words. Mark, I love you too, with a fervor that ignites my very soul. Thank you for understanding and for being willing to give us a second chance. I breathed, my voice trembling as I clung to him tightly. Our relationship didn't transform into perfection in an instant, but we were both fiercely committed to battling through the challenges that lay ahead. We plunged into the depths of our connection, unearthing a fierce joy in the smallest details, each fleeting moment together igniting a fire within us. In the end, we came to a harrowing revelation. Our love and family stood as the most vital pillars in the tumultuous landscape of our lives. We had faced insurmountable challenges, battling through the darkness, and emerged not just stronger, but irrevocably bonded in our shared struggle. This harrowing experience forced us to confront the depths of our relationships, igniting a fierce determination to cherish one another and never repeat the grave errors of the past. We understood that greater challenges loomed on the horizon, yet we stood resolute, united in our determination, gripping each other tightly, fueled by an unwavering love and fierce support. Months had dragged on since Mark and I made the fateful decision to start anew, each day heavy with the weight of our choice. We poured every ounce of our being into salvaging our relationship, and each day unfolded with intense revelations and heart-stopping joys. The moments we shared ignited a fierce passion within us, drawing us into an unbreakable bond that felt more intense than anything we had ever known. One fateful evening, after an exhausting day at work, Mark burst through the door, clutching a bouquet of my favorite flowers' roses, each petal a vivid reminder of the passion that simmered beneath the surface. It was an unexpected revelation, and my heart surged with an overwhelming rush of emotion. Greetings, my love, he said, a grin spreading across his face as he thrust the flowers into my hands. Greetings, Mark, I replied, accepting the bouquet, my heart racing as tears of joy threatened to spill over, overwhelming me with emotion. Thank you. Your generosity is utterly heartwarming. We huddled together on the couch, enveloped in a tense silence, the warmth of our bodies igniting an electric connection that crackled in the air around us. I pressed against him, his powerful arms wrapping around me like a fortress. And in that heartbeat, I understood that this moment was everything I had ever yearned for. Elena, I can't believe we fought through the chaos and finally found our way back to each other. I swear, Mark declared, his voice trembling with raw emotion and deep affection. You mean everything to me, and I would go to any lengths to ensure our family's happiness. I feel the same way. Mark, with a piercing gaze, I responded, locking my eyes onto his. These past few months have unveiled the depths of my love for you and the undeniable significance of our family in my life. The following day, we resolved to unite as a family, determined to seize every fleeting moment together. We ventured into the park, a place heavy with memories, where I once crossed paths with Daniel. Now, this place transformed into a powerful emblem of a tumultuous new chapter in our lives, filled with uncertainty and fierce emotions. Emily was electrified by the day spent outdoors, every moment pulsing with anticipation and wild energy. We battled fiercely on the field, our laughter mingling with the tension in the air as we picked flowers that seemed to whisper secrets of the day. The tantalizing aroma of the food Mark had prepared enveloped us, igniting our senses and heightening the stakes of our gathering. In that fleeting moment, I cast my gaze upon Mark, his laughter echoing through the air as he engaged with Emily. A profound realization struck me. This was the essence of true happiness, raw and unfiltered. As the evening descended into darkness, we huddled together on a blanket, our eyes fixed on the fiery sunset, each moment heavy with unspoken tension. Mark clutched me tightly, his warmth seeping into every fiber of my being, igniting a fire within that threatened to consume us both. Elena, I need you to understand the depth of my gratitude for everything we share. You and Emily are everything to me, and I swear I will fight to keep us together, no matter what it takes, he declared, his voice trembling with fierce resolve and deep affection. I feel the same way, Mark, I replied, my heart racing with a surge of overwhelming joy and profound gratitude. We've endured countless trials, each one testing our limits, yet somehow we emerged more formidable than ever. In that moment, I felt an unshakable resolve surge within us. We sat there, locked in a fierce embrace, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting fiery hues across the sky. Our hearts thundered in unison, echoing the intensity of the challenges that lay ahead, but we were ready to confront them together. This moment was a powerful symbol of our rebirth, a tumultuous new chapter in our lives, fraught with passion and the flickering flame of hope. Standing on the edge of the unknown, we were fully aware of the formidable challenges that lay ahead. Yet, with unwavering resolve, we prepared to confront them side by side, our bond of support and love igniting a fierce determination within us. This tale unfolds in a tempest of forgiveness, a fierce love that defies all odds, and the unyielding strength of family bonds that can withstand the most harrowing trials. In the depths of despair, we discovered that even the most harrowing shadows could give way to a blinding light, but only if we summoned the courage to battle fiercely for what we cherished most. Our family had forged an unbreakable bond, steeling ourselves for the fierce challenges that lay ahead, fully aware that united, we could conquer any storm that threatened to tear us apart.